All right, after today's class, we wanted to go over the production possibilities curve, and it was kind of obvious that some people were missing the key points. So we're going to make this quick little video. We'll throw it up on Edmodo, and if anybody needs to check over this stuff for the test, a big part of the test questions will come from production possibilities curves and production possibilities frontier. All right? Here are the review questions from today that review yesterday's lesson. All right. The first one up there, well, let's start here actually. Here's your production possibilities curve. All right. What is it trying to show you? It's showing you the maximum production that a nation or a person or anybody could possibly have. In this case, we're comparing miles of road that can be built by a nation compared to the number of schools that can be built by a nation. And in this scenario, here we're marking off this is the current production possibilities curve, and here's the future one that we'll talk about in a couple minutes. All right. When there are 20 miles of road being built, this curve tells you that there are 0 schools being built. And we took a look at that the day before yesterday, and we said, why is it that way? It's because all of your resources are being used. Previously, we talked about the factors of production. Anytime you want to produce anything, the things you need to consider, the factors you need to consider: natural resource, human resource, capital resource, technology, and entrepreneurship. Okay, all that will be on the test as well. In this situation, if you're making 20 miles of road, you don't have enough human resources. You don't have enough labor to make any more schools. So you can only make 20 miles of road and no schools. But let's say we drop down. Let's say you decrease the number of road by 5, and you go down to 15 miles of road being constructed. Now, the graph tells you can make 2 schools. Why? You have more resources. The resources you are using for these 5 miles are going to go to the school, so now you can make 2 schools. This is the trade-off or the opportunity cost. This is what you sacrifice. Okay? When you go from 15 to 20 miles of road, you sacrifice. At 15 miles, you can make 2 schools, but at 20 miles, you can make no schools. So to go from 15 to 20, you sacrifice 2 schools. It costs you that. That's the opportunity cost, the alternative of a choice. What do you give up when you make a choice? We said economics is the study of choices. All choices have opportunity costs. The reason we have to make these choices is because of scarcity. What was scarcity? Unlimited wants, limited resources. We have limited resources to satisfy them. We have limited human resource, labor, limited concrete to build all this. So we have to make choices. All right? So let's go back here. The simplest question down here at the bottom. If the city builds 15 new roads, how many new schools can it build? At 15 miles, it can build 2. So the answer is C. All right. Now let's go up to some of the tougher questions. A production possibilities curve can be used to illustrate what? Let's talk about the most common incorrect answer. The most common incorrect answer is it shows most common incorrect answer was economic growth over time, letter A. All right. I think the reason you do that is because it does show some growth when you show the future trend, but the actual production possibilities curve only shows what's happening right now. All right. The correct answer is opportunity cost in a nation's economy. We already went over that. If you make 5 miles of road, you can make 4 schools. If you increase to 10 miles, you now are going to make about 2.5 schools. What happened? You went from 4 to 2.5. You're losing 1.5 schools. Going from 5 to 10 cost you 1.5 schools. That's the opportunity cost. All right. This one, big question that a lot of people missed. A production possibilities curve shows a relationship between the production of, most common incorrect answer again, A, farm goods and factory goods. Why was that the incorrect answer? The day before, we talked about the guns for butter paradox. And we talked about how in World War II, we had to ration butter in our country. Why would we ration butter to make more guns? What's the relationship? They don't use steel. They don't use any of the same factories. What's the relationship? Again, it all comes down to resources. We had to sacrifice butter to make more guns in World War II because our human resource was gone. Remember we said, anytime you make anything, you need to consider the factors of production: natural capital and human resources, entrepreneurship, technology. The human resources were gone, so we had to sacrifice that. All right? So that was the guns for butter paradox. Correct answer here, what gets shown when you show the relationship between any 2 categories of goods? Here it's roads and schools. guns, and butter. Yesterday's activity, we talked about comparing work and leisure. Any two activities. Work and leisure, there's only 24 hours. You can't do 24 hours of work and 10 hours of leisure. Not enough resources. Right? So we drew the production possibilities curve from that. All right? Specialization is another big one. Question 3 on the bell word. How can specialization benefit an economy? All right? The answer is it makes production more efficient. All right? Here's where we're getting into this. All right? Remember we said if this is the curve we have, this is all impossible. According to this curve, you can't make 15 miles of road and 4 schools. It's outside the possibilities unless you move the curve. If you can get this curve shifted over, you can move it, you increase the production all over the place. And that's what countries try to do. How do they do that? The factors of production again. The factors of production move this. If you can get more technology to make things faster, or you get more or better human resources, that will move that curve out there. More or better capital resources. You get more machines and more tools, it can move this curve. Now, instead of making 15 miles of highway and 2 schools, you might be able to make 15 miles of highway and 5 schools. How did you do that? You got more resources. Specialization, okay, allows you to do that too. When people specialize in one area, Henry Ford was the one that started that. That'd be an example of entrepreneurship. His thought process moved his production possibilities curve because he made people specialize. This person's only going to put the tires on. This person's only going to put the engine in. This person's only going to put the doors on. They specialize and they get much faster at that. And they don't have to change tools. They don't have to move around as much. So they're working faster and they're making more. And that increases the production possibilities. More production possible. All right? And that moves the curve. So specialization allows that to happen. Okay. Hopefully that kind of clears a little bit up about the production possibilities curve. It also shows how opportunity cost is being shown. When you give up something, you get to get more of something else. That's your trade-off. Okay. What is the choices that you're making? And it's all affected by scarcity. Unlimited wants, limited resources.